So up till now we have seen about what is meant by diamagnetism, paramagnetism and ferromagnetism. Okay, we have also introduced the classical theory of diamagnetism, the classical or Langevin's theory of paramagnetism, and now we move to the ferromagnetic materials. Okay, so about ferromagnetic materials, ferromagnetics, okay, or ferromagnetic materials. So about ferromagnetic materials, we know that these type of materials or the atoms with which these types of materials are made up of, these atoms already have permanent, these atoms or molecules, they are already having permanent strong magnetic dipole moments. Permanent strong magnetic dipole moment. That permanent strong magnetic dipole moment exists in case of ferromagnetic materials. Okay, and normally these dipole moments are arranged in the domains, in the form of domains. Within the domains, all the magnetic moments are perfectly aligned. All the magnetic moments in one particular domain will have same orientation, but there may be different domains within that particular material, and the end result is that the net, since different domains may have different orientation, the net magnetic moment on that particular material would be 0. But when such a material are placed in external magnetic field, then the domains which are not in the direction of external magnetic field, they also get oriented in the direction of external magnetic field, and the material experiences a strong magnetism inside that particular material. Okay, so the material now becomes a permanent magnet there. That such a type of materials are called as a ferromagnetic materials, and even if we remove the external magnetic field, then also magnetism is retained by that particular material. Okay, so that is the special property of that particular material, that ferromagnetic materials. Now in the ferromagnetic material, just now I have said here that if I have a ferromagnetic material, okay, if I have a ferromagnetic material and if I apply external magnetic field, then the magnetization M will be generated inside the ferromagnetic material. There will be the magnetization M will be generated inside the ferromagnetic material. Now what is the response of this magnetization vector M with respect to the applied magnetic field H? If we try to plot this response on the graph, then that graph we have to study now, how that graph would be. Okay, so suppose that we have a freshly prepared material, of ferromagnetic material. Okay, just now we have prepared the ferromagnetic material, and that material we are keeping that material inside the external magnetic field H. Okay, so suppose on this graph, on the H axis I am representing the H vector, that is applied magnetic field vector, and whatever magnetization that would be generated by this material, so that magnetization I am plotting on the y axis. Okay, so this is H vector, this is y vector. Okay, so these are x axis and y axis. So initially, now in the absence of this ferromagnetic material, I know that this ferromagnetic material will be having so many domains. Okay, it will be having so many domains. Within the domains, all the magnetic moments will be perfectly aligned. Okay, so this is the alignment of the magnetic moments inside the domains. Okay, here the magnetic moments orientation may be like this, here the magnetic moments orientation may be like this, here the magnetic moments orientation may be like this. So if I measure what is the total moment, magnetic moment of this particular material, it may happen that this comes out to be nearly 0. Okay, so if the applied magnetic field, means if there is no magnetic field, so if the applied magnetic field is 0, there would be no magnetization. Okay, there would be no magnetization. So our graph will start from the origin, right? Now what will happen if I increase H? If I start applying external magnetic field, then what will happen? Those atomic magnets or those domains which is having same orientation as that of the applied magnetic field, on that domains there is no effect actually, because already within this particular domain all the magnetic moments are in the direction of external magnetic field. But what about this? The magnetic moments in these particular domains are not oriented in the direction of external magnetic field. So what will happen? They will try to orient. Now that depends on the intensity of external magnetic field. Depending on the intensity of external magnetic field, the extent to which these dipoles may get aligned with the direction of external magnetic field, that would depend on the intensity of external magnetic field. If the intensity is more, then this alignment would be rapid and more. If the intensity is less, then this alignment would be slow and it will be again less. So these atomic moments would be trying to get aligned itself in the direction of external magnetic field. Okay, they would be rotating in the direction of external magnetic field. So if they are rotating in the direction of external magnetic field, so there would be some net magnetization. Okay, there would be some net magnetization generated. So the magnetization would be there or would be generated inside the material. If I again increase the external magnetic field, more and more domains will try to get aligned itself in the direction of external magnetic field. Okay, so initially it seems that as I increase H, M will also increase, and if I sufficiently apply external magnetic field, okay, if I increase the value of H to very high value, then it may happen that all the domains are aligned in the direction of external magnetic field. So there is no more domain which is left to be aligned in the external magnetic field. So all of the domains are now aligned in the external magnetic field. So now the material will become strong magnet, and whatever magnetization would be generated, that magnetization would be final. Okay, so after that, even if I am increasing the external magnetic field, since there are no more domains to be left which are aligned in the direction of external magnetic field, the magnetization would reach constant value. So initially it will increase and now it will attain a constant value. Okay, it would attain a constant value. So if I measure this constant value, okay, now even if means after that constant value, even if I am increasing the value of H, then also the value of M would be constant. So that particular value of M, which is nearly constant with the increase of applied magnetic field, this is represented by MS, and MS is called as saturation magnetization. MS is called as a saturation magnetization. Okay, now what do you expect? Now if I try to decrease the external magnetic field, what do we expect? Now if I try to decrease the value of external magnetic field, what should happen? This graph should be retraced. Okay, this graph should be retraced in the opposite direction. When I was applying the external magnetic field from 0 to increasing value, this was the graph. Now if I decrease the value of H from maximum value to the 0 value, then what should happen? Same graph should be retraced in the opposite direction. But actually this will not be the case. Now if you decrease the value of H, you will find that the new graph will be like this. You see, what is the meaning of this? Initially you went like this, okay, you went from this A to B, okay, but now when I decrease the value of H from maximum and I am decreasing it towards 0, then you will find that even if I am making the value of H as 0, see at this particular point the value of H will be 0, but there would be some magnetization left in the material. Okay, or what I can say, when I increased the value of H from 0 to some maximum value, the graph was like this. The graph was like A to B. Okay, it was increasing like this. The magnetization was increasing like this. Now when I started decreasing the value of H from maximum towards 0, then I should get the same type of graph, but actually I am not getting the same type of graph. Here now, if I decrease the value of external magnetic field, the magnetization would not decrease by the same quantity. The magnetization in the material would not decrease by the same quantity, it would decrease by the lesser quantity. and even if I make the external value of applied magnetic field as 0, then also there would be some magnetization left within the material. Okay, there would be some magnetization left within the material. This magnetization is represented by Br. Actually it is represented by Bs. It is Bs, that is saturation magnetization or saturation magnetic field, and this is Br. This is Br means what? It is called as remnant magnetic field. Remnant magnetic field means even if I am removing external magnetic field completely, then also there would be some magnetic field inside the material, and that magnetic field I am calling it as a remnant magnetic field, and that's why I am saying that this material becomes permanent magnet even if I am removing the external magnetic field. Okay, so this will be the experimental case actually. Okay, the graph will not be followed like this, graph will be somewhat different. Okay, so this is called as a remnant magnetic field. Now in order to make this remnant magnetic field as 0, if I want to remove this remnant magnetic field, what I should do? I should apply now the magnetic field in the reverse direction. Okay, so I will keep increasing magnetic field in the reverse direction. I will change the direction of applied magnetic field, and then you will find that the remnant magnetic field will go on decreasing, or the magnetic field inside the material will go on decreasing, and it will become 0. It will become 0 at some value of magnetic field, at some value of external magnetic field, but in the reverse direction. Okay, so it will become 0 at some value of external magnetic field, and this some value of external magnetic field is represented by a letter Hc, where Hc is called as coercive field. Hc is called as a coercive field. Okay, it is the magnetic field in the reverse direction which is necessary to make the remnant magnetization as 0, to nullify the magnetization created by the material. That magnetic field is called as a coercive field. Okay, so this would be the case. Now if I again try increasing the magnetic field in the reverse direction, you will see that the magnetization in the reverse direction would increase, but again it would be in the reverse direction. Okay, it would be in the reverse direction, and if I sufficiently increase the magnetic field, then you will find that the external magnetic field, if I sufficiently have the high value of external magnetic field, then the whatever magnetization is there in the reverse direction, that would be constant, nearly constant. If I again try to increase, it will be nearly constant like this. Okay, now if I try to decrease, okay, you see initially I increase the magnetic field from 0 to some maximum value, then I decreased towards 0, then I increase the magnetic field from 0 towards negative value, opposite direction, maximum value. Okay, and now I am again decreasing, I am again going towards 0. Then see, when I increase the external magnetic field in the negative direction to a very high value, then again I got the saturation magnetic field in the reverse direction. Again I got the saturation magnetic field in the reverse direction, and now if I decrease the value of external magnetic field from the reverse direction towards 0, then this reverse magnetization would be decreasing. Now it will again go towards 0, but it will not be 0 at 0 value of external magnetic field. Even if I make the external magnetic field toward at 0, then also there will be some magnetization, or there would be some magnetic field inside the material. Again here this will be denoted by Br, that will be the remnant magnetic field. Okay, this will be the saturation magnetic field, this will be the remnant magnetic field. Okay, now again if I increase, now see, even if the value of external magnetic field is 0, then also there is some remnant magnetic field inside the material, but in the reverse direction. Now in order to nullify this remnant magnetic field, I have to again apply the external magnetic field, but in the opposite direction, and in this case the opposite direction is a positive direction. Okay, so I will now apply the external magnetic field from the 0 to positive direction, and you will find that this value of Br goes on decreasing and it becomes 0. So the value of H for which this remnant magnetic field becomes 0 is called as coercive field. Again this is the coercive field in the positive direction, this is the coercive field in the negative direction. Okay, and after that if I again increase the magnetic field, then you will find that the graph will be like this. Graph would be like this. Okay, so you see this A to B, this part A to B was traced only once, okay. When the material is fresh, then only you will see this graph A to B, this portion A to B. Once the material is treated by the external magnetic field, you will never see this A to B part. Okay, you would never see this A to B part. Once you apply the external magnetic field and again keep applying external magnetic field again and again, then you will see the graph like this: B, then C, then D, E, F and G. So A to B graph is seen only once when the material is fresh, okay, and once the material is treated by the external magnetic field, you will see this type of loop. B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so this type of loop you would see again and again. This loop is called as hysteresis loop. This loop is called as a hysteresis loop. Actually, hysteresis is a name of disease. Okay, hysteresis is a name of disease. This is a kind of disease. Okay, and therefore it has given this particular name, that is a hysteresis loop. What is the actual definition of hysteresis loop? So when we say that, if you see this particular loop, what do you understand? So we understand that in this particular case, the magnetization vector M does not follow the applied field vector. The magnetization vector M does not follow the applied field vector, that is applied field vector H, right? It means that in whatever proportion we apply the external magnetic field, in that same proportion magnetization is not there, or magnetization in the material does not follow the application of external magnetic field. This particular fact itself is called as a hysteresis. This particular fact or this particular phenomena in which the magnetization vector does not follow the applied magnetic field vector is called as a hysteresis, and the loop so obtained is called as a hysteresis loop. Okay, the loop so obtained is called as a hysteresis loop. Now why there is this remnant magnetic field? So the presence of remnant magnetic field inside the material can be understood with the help of domain structure. Now just now I have said, no, initially the different domains will have different orientation, so that the net magnetization would be 0. But now when you apply the external magnetic field, then what will happen? Depending on the intensity of external magnetic field, the magnetic moments inside the domains would try to make itself aligned with the direction of external magnetic field. So this would be rotating, this would be rotating, right? This would be rotating, this would be rotating, this would also be rotating, right? So every magnetic moment inside the domains, they will try to make itself aligned with the direction of external magnetic field. Now suppose that because of some value of external magnetic field, suppose these atomic magnets in this particular domain, suppose they are completely oriented in the direction of external magnetic field. Suppose they are completely oriented in the direction of external magnetic field. Then can you distinguish between this domain and this domain? This domain has all the atomic magnets aligned in the direction of external magnetic field. This domain has now all the magnetic moments aligned in the direction of external magnetic field. So you cannot distinguish these two domains. So these two domains will be merged. They will be combined to give a bigger domain. So what is the outcome actually? So when we apply the external magnetic field, the atomic magnets within the domain, they get aligned in the direction of external magnetic field, and in doing that, the domain inside the material, they grow in size. Okay, the domains inside the material, they grow in size. Now even if you remove the external magnetic field, what will happen? Since this is now a complete domain, what will happen? Its atomic magnet will not be rotated in the opposite direction. Its atomic magnet would be in the same direction even if you remove the external magnetic field, and therefore there is some remnant magnetic field. And now if I want to remove this remnant magnetic field, I have to apply the external magnetic field in the opposite direction. And of some magnitude at least, then only these atomic magnets would be rotated and this domain would now become aligned in the opposite direction, okay, or in some random direction, so that the net magnetization of this material is zero, so that the net magnetization of this material is zero, okay. So this will be the case in case of ferromagnetic material. So this particular factor is called as a hysteresis loop, okay. Now you see, whenever I am applying some magnetic field in the reverse direction, suppose that by applying, you see, whenever I make the external magnetic field as 0, then also there is some remnant magnetic field, means there are some dipoles which are having a perfect orientation in the field direction, okay. Now if I want to make this magnetization as 0, if I want to make this remnant magnetic field as 0, what I need to do? I need to apply the magnetic field in the opposite direction, so that all these domains would be rotated in that direction, so that all these domains would be rotated in that direction. So actually this particular process requires some kind of work, this particular process requires some kind of energy, and because of the use of some kind of energy in order to rotate these dipole moments in the opposite direction, some heat would be generated. Some heat would be generated, and means why the heat is generated? Because we are doing some kind of work to transform dipoles from one orientation to the other orientation, okay. So that requires some kind of energy, that requires some kind of work, and therefore heat would be generated, and this heat itself is called as energy loss. Energy loss. So there would be energy loss in one hysteresis cycle. In one hysteresis cycle, this particular loop is called as a one hysteresis cycle. You may have number of cycles, how many times you are doing it, okay, how many times you are making this remnant magnetic field as 0, that many number of times you have to do the work, and that many number of times there would be the energy loss encountered in that particular material. So ferromagnetic material is having some problem, and that problem is called as a energy loss in the hysteresis loop. That problem itself is called as a energy loss in the hysteresis loop. Now if I want to find out what is the expression for this energy loss, so that can also be found out very easily, okay. So we know that B, that is magnetic field inside the material, okay. Suppose this is a ferromagnetic material, and if I apply some external magnetic field, okay, then what, there will be some magnetic field generated. There will be some magnetic field generated inside the material, and that magnetic field generated inside the material of any material, not necessarily the ferromagnetic material, is nothing but mu0 times H, where mu0 is called as a permeability, magnetic permeability, and H is the external magnetic field strength, and B is called as a magnetic induction or magnetic flux density. Now but in case of ferromagnetic material, you know that the magnetic field is not generated only because of H, but also because of the rotation of atomic dipoles in the field direction. And now when the atomic dipoles are oriented in the field direction, external field direction, there would be the generation of magnetization vector. So magnetization vector would also be there. So actually the total magnetic field inside the material would be the sum of external magnetic field plus the magnetization generated within that particular body or within that particular material. So B will be the sum of external magnetic field plus the magnetization. Remember that this magnetization is generated only because of H, but again there would be different contributions, okay. Now if I differentiate this particular equation, then differential of B means change in B dB, and this is mu0 times dH plus mu0 times dm. Now let us take the dot product with H vector. So it is H dot dB is equal to mu0 times H dot dH plus mu0 times H dot dm, and integrate it over the hysteresis loop, over this particular loop, okay. Integrate it over this closed loop. Which is the closed loop? This B, C, D, E, F, G, B, okay. So we are integrating over the closed loop, okay. Now this particular factor H into dB, integration of H into dB is nothing but the energy loss. This is nothing but the energy loss, and that is equal to this mu0 times integration of H dot dH. This H dot dH means what? Means we are having a graph between H and H. Okay, we are having a graph between h and h, and if we are having a graph between h and h, you will be having a straight line. Okay, you will be having a straight line, and what is the area enclosed within the straight line? The area enclosed within the straight line is always 0. So this particular factor would be 0. Okay, and mu 0 h dot dm. This h dot dm geometrically is nothing but area of the loop. Area of loop. So this energy loss is nothing but it is area of hysteresis loop. So the energy loss in the hysteresis loop is nothing but the area of that particular hysteresis loop. So if the hysteresis loop has a larger area, okay, if it has a larger area like this, then there would be large energy losses encountered. If it is having a smaller area, then it will be having smaller energy losses. So whenever we make the materials for transformer, okay, in that case we have to keep worry about this area of the hysteresis loop, and we have to make that area very small, or we have to select the materials whose hysteresis loop area is small. Okay, then only the energy loss would be small, and very less power will be dissipated in the form of heat over there in rotating the magnetic moments. Okay, so this is all about the magnetic properties of the material. Okay, so depending on the scope of this particular unit, I have tried to complete all the topics which are there in this particular unit. So with this we end this particular unit. Okay, thank you.